Have you ever stopped to think why you feel so busy, so swamped, yet deep down you know you're not really moving forward? It's like you're constantly putting out fires, running on a hamster wheel, feeling exhausted at the end of the day, but when you look back, there's no significant progress. Because if we really analyze it, the real problem isn't a lack of effort or time, but a fundamental misunderstanding of how our internal stories dictate our actions. And trust me, understanding that changes everything. I know, it's frustrating, right? You're probably thinking, here we go, another self-help guru telling me I'm doing it wrong. But listen, I've been exactly where you are, working my butt off, feeling like I was doing all the things, only to look around and realize my life felt stuck in a loop. I'm not here to give you empty motivation or quick fixes. What I will share are the core principles that helped me stop unconsciously sabotaging my own time and start building a life that actually moves forward. It's about getting real about what's actually happening inside your head. Ready for a dose of clarity? Okay, so let's dive into the core of why you might be throwing your time in the trash without even realizing it. It all boils down to perception. Personal development, at its heart, isn't about magical external changes. It's about shifting how you see the world, how you explain things to yourself. Your internal narratives, those stories you tell yourself about why things are the way they are, those explanations determine 100% of your actions. Think about it. If you believe you're inherently bad with money, you'll unconsciously make decisions that confirm that belief. If you tell yourself you're not a morning person, you'll struggle every single day to wake up early, even if you logically know it would benefit you. Your mind is like a powerful supercomputer, and your internal explanations are the code. Bad code, bad output. And here's where it gets really interesting. These internal explanations are profoundly shaped by your mental repertoire, or what I like to call your internal mental file. Imagine your mind as a library. The more diverse and rich the books in that library, the more possibilities you have to draw from, to connect ideas, to form unique insights. Now, what happens when your repertoire is limited? You end up with limited explanations. You see the world through a tiny keyhole, not a panoramic window. I remember when I was stuck in a corporate job that was draining my soul. My internal explanation was, I need this security. I can't just quit. Who am I to start something new? My mental file was full of examples of people who stayed safe, who followed conventional paths. I didn't have enough books about people who built their own unique paths, who took calculated risks and thrived. Because my repertoire was limited to a specific kind of success or security, my explanations for my situation were equally narrow. It made me feel stuck, like there were no other options. This is like that famous story about the city in India, where people couldn't imagine a new type of vehicle because their mental file only contained bullock carts. When they saw a car for the first time, their minds genuinely struggled to process it. It was outside their existing repertoire. Similarly, if your mental file only contains stories of struggle, scarcity, or conformity, how can you possibly conceive of a life of abundance, creativity, or radical authenticity? You can't. Your brain won't even give you the option. So, the first step to stop wasting your precious time is to understand this. Your current reality is a direct reflection of your internal narratives. And those narratives are built on the foundation of your mental repertoire. If you're constantly feeling busy but unproductive, it's not a moral failing. It's a software problem. And the good news is, software can be updated. We need to expand that mental file, because a richer repertoire gives birth to richer, more empowering explanations. Without that, you're just trying to solve a deep-seated perception issue with superficial productivity hacks. And that's exactly why they don't stick. Makes sense, right? Alright, so if our internal narratives and repertoire are the operating system, how do we update it to stop feeling like we're just spinning our wheels? This leads us to a fundamental principle. You become good. You don't decide based on who you already are. You decide based on who you want to become. And that's a massive shift for most people, including myself. For years, I told myself, I'm not good at public speaking, or I'm not organized enough to run my own business. These weren't truths. They were self-limiting stories based on past failures or present imperfections. I was deciding my future based on my current, undeveloped self. This is the principle of progress versus preparation. Most of us get stuck in endless preparation mode. We read every book, watch every tutorial, wait for the perfect moment or the perfect skill set, all because we're too afraid to act from a place of not yet being good enough. We think we need to be something before we do something. But the truth is, you become good through the doing. You develop the skills, the resilience, the clarity, in the process of taking action, not before it. Think about it like this. A baby doesn't wait until it can perfectly articulate sentences before it starts babbling. A painter doesn't wait until they master every technique before putting brush to canvas. They start, they mess up, they learn, they adapt. Their identity as a speaker or painter is forged in the act of trying, failing, and persisting. I had to confront this head-on when I decided to start my own journey. I was scared. My internal narrative screamed, "You're not ready. You don't have enough experience. Who would listen to you?" But I made a conscious decision to act as if I was capable, even when I didn't feel it. I started creating content, even though my first videos were, frankly, terrible. My equipment was basic, my delivery was shaky, and I stumbled over my words. But every single video, every single piece of content, every single interaction was a tiny step in the becoming good process. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about being persistent and learning from each attempt. The mistake many people make, and where a lot of time gets wasted, is waiting for that magical moment of being good to arrive. They keep consuming, keep learning, keep preparing, but never actually start. They confuse activity with action, and activity without intentional action is just noise. It's a sophisticated form of procrastination. It's throwing your time in the trash, telling yourself you're preparing, when in reality, you're just delaying the uncomfortable but necessary act of becoming. So the question isn't, am I good enough? The question is, am I willing to start the process of becoming good? Because that's where all the real transformation happens, not in endless prep. So, if we understand that our internal explanations determine our actions, and that we become good through action, how do we actually construct those empowering explanations? This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about consciously choosing the narratives that serve your growth, rather than letting old, limiting stories dictate your path. The difference between "I wasn't born for this" and "I don't have experience yet" is monumental. One paralyzes you, the other ignites action. Let me give you a personal example. When I face complex challenges in my journey, my immediate, automatic internal explanation would often be, "This is too hard. I'm not smart enough for this." That narrative would shut me down, make me procrastinate, and ultimately waste a ton of time. But I learned to catch myself. I learned to consciously reframe. Instead of "this is too hard," I'd force myself to think, "this is a new challenge, and I haven't learned the solution yet. What's the smallest step I can take to start understanding it?" This isn't just positive thinking, it's cognitive restructuring. It's about building explanations that give you clarity of action. When you say "I wasn't born for this," there's no path forward. It's a dead end. But when you say "I don't have experience yet," that immediately suggests a solution. Gain experience. It opens up a mental pathway. It gives you an actionable next step, even if it's just a tiny one. Another powerful reframing is distinguishing between "I failed" and "I learned." A failure explanation often leads to shame and inaction. A learning explanation automatically prompts analysis and adaptation. It transforms a setback into data. This subtle shift in language completely alters your emotional state and, consequently, your willingness to try again. Think about how much time we waste trapped in narratives of helplessness or self-pity. "I don't have time" often means this isn't a priority, or "I haven't structured my day effectively." "I can't afford it" can sometimes mean "I haven't explored creative ways to generate this income or prioritize this expense." It's about getting radically honest with yourself and dissecting the stories you tell. To build these good explanations, you need to actively listen to your internal dialogue. What are you telling yourself when you procrastinate? What narratives are holding you back from making that crucial decision? Once you identify the limiting story, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this absolutely true, or is there another way to look at this? Then, consciously craft an explanation that empowers action, that opens doors instead of closing them. This takes practice, a lot of it. But every time you successfully reframe, you're rewiring your brain for productive action instead of stagnation. This is how you stop unconsciously throwing your time in the trash. You change the internal logic that permits the waste. So let's tie all of this together. Remember at the beginning when I asked if you've ever stopped to think why you feel so busy, yet stuck, throwing your time in the trash without realizing it? Well, now you understand the core reason. It's not a lack of effort. It's a profound disconnect between your internal explanations, your mental repertoire, and the actions you take or fail to take. We've deconstructed the idea that you need to be something before you do anything. Instead, we've shifted to the powerful truth that you become good through the act of doing, through courageous progress over endless, often paralyzing, preparation. The internal narratives you cling to, those stories you tell yourself, are not just passive thoughts. They are the architects of your reality. A limited mental file creates limited explanations, which inevitably lead to limited, inefficient actions. The goal here isn't to suddenly become a productivity machine overnight. It's about cultivating a deep self-awareness of your own internal operating system. It's about consciously identifying those limiting stories. "I'm not good enough," "I don't have time," "it's too hard," and actively replacing them with narratives that foster clarity and empower action. Think of it as upgrading your personal software. You wouldn't run a critical business on an outdated, buggy system, would you? Your life deserves the same intentionality. This isn't just theory from a textbook. This is what I learned through years of my own trial and error, of feeling like I was constantly hitting invisible walls. It was only when I started challenging my own ingrained explanations, when I began to intentionally expand my mental repertoire, that I finally broke through. It wasn't easy. It required confronting some uncomfortable truths about myself and my excuses. But the clarity that followed, the ability to make strategic choices instead of reacting to circumstance, that was truly liberating. When you understand that your perception shapes your world, that action builds competence, and that you can actively choose your explanations, you reclaim immense power. You stop being a passive recipient of your circumstances and become the conscious architect of your days. You stop unknowingly throwing your precious time in the trash because you've understood the internal logic that was allowing it. It's a profound shift from living on autopilot to living with radical intention. Now, I know this might feel like a lot to take in, and maybe even a little overwhelming. It's easy to hear all this and think, but where do I even start? Or this sounds great in theory, but my life is complicated. And you know what? I get it. I truly do. This isn't about instant perfection or magically waking up a changed person tomorrow. Transformation is a process, a messy human process. But here's the thing. You don't need to tackle everything at once. You don't need to perfectly dismantle every limiting narrative today. The most important thing you can do is simply start. Start by observing. Listen to the stories you tell yourself when you procrastinate, when you feel stuck, when you choose distraction over action. Just notice them without judgment. That act of awareness alone is incredibly powerful, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. I remember thinking I had to have all the answers before I could even take a single step. That light kept me trapped for so long. But the truth is, all you need is enough clarity for the next step. Not the whole staircase, just the next stair. Maybe for you, that next step is simply identifying one limiting belief you've been holding onto. Maybe it's picking up a book on a topic you know nothing about to expand your mental repertoire. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to really analyze why you keep putting off that one important task. This journey is yours. My role here isn't to dictate your path, but to offer the clarity and the tools that help me find mine. You're the one who gets to decide what resonates, what you're willing to test, and what changes you want to make. And whatever that looks like, it's enough. Just remember, you are capable of so much more than your limiting narratives tell you. And it's time to reclaim your time, not by doing more, but by thinking differently. If this conversation, if these insights about your internal narratives and wasted time resonated with you, I'm not going to hit you with a generic like and subscribe. We're not about that here. But if you're genuinely ready to stop living on autopilot and start actively building a life of intention and clarity, then consider this an invitation. First, I want you to tell me, what's one internal explanation you've been telling yourself that you're ready to challenge after watching this? Share it in the comments below. Let's start that conversation. And if you want to keep receiving these unfiltered truths and practical strategies for real transformation, join this community of people who are serious about growth. Subscribe to the channel. This isn't about numbers. It's about connecting with individuals who are committed to understanding, acting, and evolving. Let's build this movement of conscious living together.